Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. In this lecture, we will discuss why no suitor is ready for Air India, or what are the issues related to the Air India disinvestment. First of all, let us see what was the government proposal. The government of India had offered for a sale of 76% of the equity of the Air India. So the 76% equity was planned to be sold and the government would retain the rest 24%. So 24% would be retained by the government itself. And according to the proposal, the Air India had a debt of around 34,000 crore rupees. So this 34,000 crore rupees debt also would pass on to the bidder. So this debt amount will also pass on to the bidder. So this was the proposal. Let us see what were the issues related to the proposal. First of all, Air India incurs a loss of rupees 5,000 crore every year. So every year it has a loss of 5,000 crore and no bidder would be ready to accept a company or an organization where it is continuously making losses. So in case of Air India also, the continuous losses was one reason. Secondly, with regard to the employees of the Air India has 30,000 employees. And we must understand here that other airlines in the world has more than 30,000 staff. But here what is the problem? With regard to Air India, this is the highest employee to aeroplane ratio. So when we take the employee to aeroplane ratio, this is the highest in the world. We can say that the Air India is overstaffed or there is an excess staff in the Air India. Again, the third issue was with regard to the government of India's involvement. So we have seen that in the proposal, the government had proposed that 24% of the equity will be held by the government of India itself. The rest only will be transferred to the bidder. So what happens? This 24% equity of the government will give a seat in the board. So what does it mean? The board of members in the Air India will also be occupied by the representatives from the government. So the government's representatives will have a position or will have a stake in the board of members of the Air India with the 24% of equity. So these were the main issues that are related to the sale of Air India, or we can say that because of these reasons, Air India was not able to attract bidders. Now coming to the potential of the Air India. Air India as a brand has much brand value, which means it is a much loved brand. It has certain brand value and also it has potential value. Also another potential area of the Air India is the engineering infrastructure. So in Air India has a very attractive engineering infrastructure which is also a potential area of the Air India. And again coming to the network of Air India, it has vast domestic as well as global network to key destinations. So vast domestic and global network. So with this potential areas, Air India should be able to attract bidders. But this is not happening because of the discussed issues. So what can be done in this regard? What are the solutions to overcome these issues? Let us see. Three things has to be done. First one is to attract suitors. So suitors should be attracted to buy Air India. Again, the competition should be widened. And again, it must be able to realize the best value. So these three things should happen. For these three things to happen, certain things are necessary. First of all, the government must focus on restructuring the Air India. And only after the restructuring, the government must list the Air India. So first of all, restructuring should be done and then listing of Air India should be done. So what is restructuring? Air India must have assured time slots. So it must have assured time slots. Again, it should have a space in prized airports or important airports. The Air India must have a space. It should have a engineering backbone, and in case of Air India, we have seen that the engineering infrastructure is very good. Then again coming to infrastructure, there must be improvement in infrastructure. Again coming to the staff or personnel, the staff must be trained properly. So if these type of restructuring is done, there is no doubt that the profit of the Air India will double, or from the loss it will move on to making profit and the profit margin will increase. So in that case, it will be easy for the Air India to attract bidders. And again coming to the bidding process, what must be the changes that should happen in the bidding process? First of all, the bidding process must be global, open, transparent and electronic tender. What does it mean? Global means not only Indian companies, but it should be open for global companies or MNCs as well. Open means the process should be more open, and transparency ensures this, and openness will ensure transparency, and it should be electronic tender. Secondly, an open auction must be conducted. So the auction or the type of auction should be open. What happens in an open auction? A bidder can increase the price after viewing the bid price of other bidders. So a particular bidder, suppose A, he can increase the price after seeing the bid prices of other auctioners like the B, C, D, etc. So what happens? It will be more transparent, and especially when it comes to the price, it becomes more transparent and open. And again, we have seen that Air India has a huge debt. There is a debt of 34,000 crore. So coming to the debt part of the Air India, the government must absorb this debt. So the government must absorb means the government should take up this debt. And then what the government has to do is, the government must offer Air India for sale or disinvestment as a zero debt company without any debt. So it will attract more investors or bidders to buy Air India. So it should be offered as a zero debt company. Again, coming to the equity, we have seen that at present the proposal is to sell 76% of the equity, and the government would be maintaining the rest 24%. So what is the suggestion here? The government should either sell 100% equity, that is one suggestion, or the government can go up with the same proposal of giving 76% equity and retaining 24%. But here the difference should be that this 24% of equity which is held by the government should not attract any seat in the board, which means that the board of directors or the board should not have any representation from the part of the government, which means the investor must be given the freedom of management of Air India. The government should not have a stake in the management. So these are the two options with regard to equity, either giving 100% or retaining 24% without a board seat for the government. Another suggestion is that the successful bidder must mandatorily list Air India in the stock exchange. So listing Air India in the stock exchange should be made mandatory. Again, another suggestion is that the Air India's engineering facilities, we have already said that Air India has a good engineering infrastructure, and at present this engineering infrastructure or the engineering facilities are not offered for bidding. So what the government must do? The government must bundle the engineering facilities or the engineering infrastructure along with the company and then offer it for bidding. So at now the engineering facilities are outside the auction. Again, another suggestion is that there should be no interference from the part of the politicians or bureaucrats. So political and bureaucratic interference must come down, or it should be zero. Another suggestion is to adhere to the corporate governance. Another suggestion is with regard to the employees of Air India. So we have seen that the Air India is overstaffed. Employee to aeroplane ratio is the highest in the world in the case of Air India. So the successful bidder must be given the freedom to manage the employees. So proper guidelines must be given by the government with regard to the management of the employees. We have already seen there is an overstaffing, and what happens when there is an overstaffing? Overstaffing will reduce the profitability and efficiency of a firm. So in order to avoid that, this overstaffing problem must be solved, and government should give right guidelines for that matter, and the successful bidder should also be given a freedom for management of the employees.